Hey guys, another hotfix for PUBG on Xbox was put out this morning, and it looks to fix some of the biggest issues that were introduced with the latest hotfix last week. So I thought I'd go over the patch notes for you and let you know everything that's included. They start off by saying we're putting out a hotfix today to improve directional sprinting and loading times when entering matches. The hotfix is available to download right now, and it's 11.42 gigabytes in size, and I know that's going to be off-putting for a lot of you guys, but apparently they had to patch up a lot of the game when they fixed the loading times issue, so the file size is just as big as the complete install of the game. But let's go over the two things that are addressed with this hotfix. For the analog movement, while players like the implementation of the new analog movement, there is still some work to be done. With analog movement, sprinting diagonally using the left stick became much more difficult. In addition, characters run at a maximum speed when sprinting in a straight line. But when sprinting diagonally with the left stick, run speeds were only 80% of the maximum. The 80% window was much wider before the implementation of analog movement, and used to be approximately 45 degrees on each side for 80% sprinting speed to work, making it easy to control. With analog movement, characters only have about 20 degrees on each side to reach the 80% speed. This is difficult to control as analog movement has a much wider range of degrees the player can run at, and if the character goes past the 20 degree angle, the speed would decrease even further. This has affected players who use the zigzag running method to dodge bullets and make it harder for enemies to pin them down. Running in a zigzag pattern is a core strategy for many, so we want to maintain its effectiveness. We're increasing the angle for 80% speed to improve the feel of analog movement, while making the zigzag strategy easier to use again. One thing that'll be different is that when you try to change the sprinting direction rapidly in a wider angle, your character will momentarily slow down, as doing so in real life would probably break your tendons. Now I know a lot of you guys complain about the analog movement. You couldn't run at an angle like you did before, it would slow you down too much. Well, I never had that issue, and I think that's because I'm used to running in a zigzag pattern using the right stick, so I basically always had the left stick up while I was sprinting, and then if I needed to zigzag, I would move the right stick back and forth, left and right. I know that's probably not the best method to do it, but that's just how I've always done it since I've played the game. I've moved the camera to make myself move back and forth. I know you don't get as much zigzag movement, but it didn't seem to slow you down as much as if you zigzagged with the left stick. So I never really was impacted by this, but I know a lot of you guys were, so it's good that they're addressing it, they're listening to our feedback. The second thing on the list is loading into matches. Players have reported experiencing a number of issues while trying to load into matches. Some players have experienced very long waiting times while getting into matches, and some even reporting that they would be kicked to the dashboard after waiting on the loading screen for a long time. Other players have had the lost connection to host message pop up while loading into the game. In most of these cases, when players would reconnect back into the match, they would see their character already parachuting down after being dropped out of the plane at the end of the flight path. These issues result in players not being able to see the in-game lobby, the match start countdown, or choose where to deploy over where the plane kicks them out. We've determined that this is due to the large amount of players being in a single area in the pregame lobby. The amount of resources needed to be loaded is too high for the console to handle before the player is put into the pregame lobby. The loading is taking so long that the players aren't fully loaded in until after the plane drops them at the end of its path. Files have been repackaged to load more efficiently. Now the time it takes to load into a game will be quicker, but because they've repackaged the files to improve load times, the patch size will be quite large, despite this being a hotfix. So yeah, it's basically a reinstall of the entire game. They also mentioned some other priorities that they're working on. They're currently working on the footstep and vehicle sound not being able to be heard sometimes, the desync issues that we're having, increasing the frame rate across all Xbox versions, and the issue where you're not able to drive a vehicle sometimes. But those will all come in a different patch. This hotfix today will only address the loading issues that we're having when we're getting into the matches, and the analog movement change where we can now sprint a little bit better when we're running in a zigzag pattern. But that's it for those patch notes. It's kind of disappointing that we have to have a huge patch once again to address these things that were introduced last week, but it's better than having to wait 2 or 3 more weeks to get this just to have a more substantial patch, in my opinion. I don't mind downloading the game every time because my internet is okay for downloading things. As much trouble as I have with streaming at times, when I download the game, it's not that big of a deal. I know that's not the case for a lot of people. The downloads can take a toll, and you only have a certain amount of data or something like that. But when you buy a game preview title, this is kind of what you sign up for: frequent patches, frequent issues, where you might have to re-download the game quite often. But like I said, I didn't have an issue with the zigzag running. I know you guys did, so it's good that they addressed that. As far as the loading is concerned, I was having problems where a lot of times I would hear the plane before I actually saw the plane. I'd be on a black screen for the first couple seconds. And I'm on the Xbox One X, so I can only imagine for the OG Xbox users or the Xbox One S, that it had to have been a little bit worse. So hopefully this hotfix is able to address that. I wasn't able to play anything. All the footage you're seeing is from past releases, maybe even not the most recent ones. It's just some clips that I had laying around. So none of this is actually from today's patch. But you guys will have to let me know in the comments if anything has been improved. Remember to like the video if you found it useful, and subscribe to stay up to date on everything PUBG Xbox. I should have another video on Vigor later on this week, and I'm going to have another YouTube contest where I'll give away a copy of the game, so stay tuned for that. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Until next time, I'll see you later.